I want to tell you guys about yesterday. I actually have two things that I wanted to share with you guys, but I think that I'm going to break them up because yesterday's was kind of lengthy. So yesterday I was having a bad hair day. My hair was just not cooperating. Like, I was supposed to go to church and support my best friend. She had to sing, and it just was not working. I think I had tried, like, I'm gonna say at least a good 5-6 styles in my hair, and none of them like looked right, or my hair wasn't moving right, and I was just over it. So I ended up just saying, forget it, I'm not going to church, I'm already late, and I probably live about 25 minutes from the church. So I was just like, look, I'm just not gonna go. I texted my best friend and I told her, I was like, I'm having a bad hair day, my hair is not cooperating at all, so I'm just not gonna come. And then I got into bed and immediately got convicted. Not even 5 minutes after laying down, I immediately got convicted. And God spoke to me. I actually wrote this down because it was a lie. God spoke to me and said, see, this is your issue. And I'm like, what you mean this is my issue? Like, everybody has a bad hair day every once in a while. Like, what you mean? He said, yes, but how you responded today is exactly how you respond when things don't go as you planned. And I asked him, because I'm always asking him what he mean. I said, well, Lord, what you mean? He said, when something doesn't work, when you don't see the fruit after planting the seed, when things happen in your life that you didn't plan for, you just give up. And you do it quickly. I kind of paused for a minute because I just was thinking about everything that I've given up on. And I'm just like, dang. He right. He said to me, did you forget that long suffering was a fruit of the Spirit? He was like, how will you know what will come of a thing if you give up so easily after just one try? And like, when I tell you, like, I felt like a Mack truck, it hit me like a ton of bricks because my face is to the floor at this point. And it just like hit me. So you guys know how I've been like creating consistency within myself, forming these newly found habits, healthy ones, so that way I can gain consistency in my regimen of what I do on a daily basis. They say that something becomes a habit after you practice it for 30 days. So I've been getting into the habit of changing my lingo and changing my language and the way that I, operate and say things. And this situation just showed me something else about me that, I need to change or fix. That was actually one of the things that I wanted, to work on. That's one of the biggest things that I'm working on as I'm on this healing and becoming whole journey. It's creating consistency within myself. I realized that I would start stuff and I wouldn't finish it. I would start a new project and I just would give up on it and I never finish. And I'm like, why do I keep starting stuff and not finishing? Why do I just lose my zeal for something after a certain amount of time? And here I'm thinking it's because, I'm not interested in this thing anymore, but really it's a deficiency within myself that I had to first realize was a deficiency. And then two, come up with a plan on how to fix, the deficiency. Because if I go around starting things and not finishing them, it just lets me know what's going on in my heart. It lets me know what's going on in my mind. It lets me know, like, okay, if you're starting stuff and you're not finishing it, then there's clearly something that's not really linking together. Another issue that I had was I felt like, I support everybody else. I go to events, I go to services, I go to anything that you put together. I share people's stuff. And it got to a point where I got tired of doing that because what's the point in sharing other people's stuff if the support is not reciprocated? Like, I remember when I first started my makeup business, I've been doing makeup on other people, I'm going to say a good 4 years now. And when I first started, a lot of my clients weren't people that I knew. They were people from the outside. Even still to this day, a lot of the people that book me, they're people that I don't know. And where you think, family's supposed to support you and your friends are supposed to support you and the people that are closest to you are supposed to support you, it wasn't that for me. So it did something to me and it just made me like want to give up on things that I started. And that's pretty much the root of where that whole giving up and not, fulfilling or, being consistent with myself and finishing a project that I started. God pretty much stopped me because everything that I just told you guys, I was telling him too, like, I don't have the support, I don't know where to start and this, that, and the third, just every excuse in the book. And he literally stopped me and told me to pick it up and to try again. Literally, I was reminded instantly of a story in the Bible of a man named Naaman. He had one of the highest ranks in the army as a commander, but he was plagued with a disease, one that was incurable. And if you aren't familiar with the story, he had a servant girl, in his house, who believed in a man named Jesus. And she knew someone who was closely connected to him, a prophet of God. And she went to the prophet, explained the situation and asked if he could help, Naaman with his plague. And the prophet did not come, but he did instruct her to tell him to dip himself in the Jordan River 7 times. If you guys aren't familiar with the Jordan River, one of the dirtiest rivers ever. It was mucky, it was nasty, it was just filthy. Because Naaman was a commander, he kind of got a little offended because he was like, he didn't come himself. He just sent you with instructions, so he kind of got a little salty, like, I'm a commander, like you couldn't come and see me yourself. So this definitely was a humbling story, because Naaman at first was like not for it. He didn't want to hear none of that. He was like, nah, in the Jordan River, you know how dirty that river is? Like, I ain't finna go dip myself 7 times up in that mess. But because he literally had liquidated all of his other options, he had no other choice. So it was either trust the process or you stay with your plague. So Naaman ended up going down to the Jordan River, and he began to dip himself as he was instructed. So Naaman dipped himself the first time, seen nothing. Dipped himself nothing. Dipped himself the third time, still no results. So he began to continue to dip himself the 4th and the 5th and the 6th. But when he dipped himself the 7th time and he got out of the water, Naaman was completely healed of leprosy. This disease that is incurable. People are walking around and plagued by this disease everywhere, and it's incurable. And he literally was healed. And God told me, had Naaman not did as he was instructed and dipped himself in the Jordan River 7 times, he would have never been healed. So that's why it's important that you trust your process. Because if you don't listen to the instructions that I give you, then you'll miss out on blessings, things that I want to bless you with, things that I want to give you to promote your life, but you have to be obedient. And at this point, I'm literally blown away because I began to think, like, had Naaman gave up, when he didn't see any progress, when he didn't see anything happening or changing with his skin, he literally would have missed out and forfeited the blessing that God wanted to give him, like his healing. So it ties into, me and the whole, giving up too soon, because you never know what could become of something when it starts off small. You don't know what could become of a relationship if you're feeding it properly. You don't know what could become of, the move or the transition or the new job. You don't know what could become of anything. Because we are not God, because we're not him, and we don't know, the future, we really have no choice but to trust him. So it's either, Tiara, you be obedient, or you miss out on the life that I want to bless you with. You miss out on the opportunities and the blessings. Sometimes, when we don't see the fruits of our labor, and when we don't see, anything happening, when we don't see a plant growing from the seed that we planted, we get very discouraged. We get very, standoffish, because like, okay, God, like you told me to do this. I heard you. I did it, and I don't see anything. But what we have to realize is that we have mindsets where we want things when we want them, and our timing is not God's timing. So if we would just slow down and actually wait. The Bible says, wait on the Lord and he will renew your strength. If we wait, He will give us the strength that we need to keep pressing another day. He will give us what we need so that we can keep pushing on another day. We have to be patient and wait. Patience is a fruit of the Spirit as well as long suffering. We have to be patient. We have to wait. And also what I had to realize is like everything that we see, everything that we are, it's all a process. The vehicle that you drive, it had to go through a process to be made. The clothes that you wear, they had to go through a process to be made and constructed and pieced together to be a beautiful garment. Like your hair, it goes through a process. Everything has to go through a process, and we can't rush our processes because, like I say all the time, y'all, our processes are meant to push us where we need to be. Our processes are meant to promote us where God wants us to be. We can't rush things that take time. And anything that God does, it takes time. So rather it be a day, a week, a month before you see results, don't give up. Don't give up, because it's something in the process that God needs you to learn. But a lot of people will tell you is that you can't doubt where there is faith. I like to beg to differ, because if Naaman knows nothing about God, if Naaman is just coming to God and it literally is learning about God through a servant that works for him at his home, you get what I'm saying? He didn't know how to come with anything. How am I supposed to have faith in something that I don't know yet? How am I supposed to have faith and I didn't see any miracle signs and wonders yet? How am I supposed to have faith in something and I'm just now, being introduced to it? God only requires us or asks us to bring a mustard seed of faith. Y'all know how small a mustard seed is? Like that thing itty bitty, litty witty. That thing so small. And that's exactly what Naaman came with. And because Naaman had that mustard seed of faith and followed the instructions that were given from a prophet of God, he was healed. And that ended up growing his faith. So now Naaman has more faith and now knows God for himself because he's been healed. Because there's something in the process that God needs you to learn so that way he can promote you in your future, in your next. And also with this story, with Naaman, he had to go through like a humbling process as well. Because where you are used to giving the instructions, because you are the commander of an army, now you have to take instructions from the one who is our commander. And it baffles me because I'm not going to say baffle. It blows me a little bit because I'm just like, Naaman, you was a little cocky. You wanted him to come see you personally and he didn't send nothing but instructions and you got upset and almost missed out on what God had for you. So this story is significant as well because Naaman had to go through like a submission process. So Naaman had to be submitted to the instructions and have faith like this gonna work out. That's what the prophet told me to do. He a prophet of God. It's God. In order for people to be saved and to really believe, they have to see something. Naaman had to see something. So he went through that process of being healed. So now he sees and knows for himself. He know that God is real. And I just want y'all to understand that God's plan for our lives, God's plan for your life, God's plan for my life, it's the only plan that will push us into a prosperous state. If we continue to try to do things on our own, we'll be drained, upset, depressed, angry, hurt, living in flesh, living in sin, living in fear. We literally have to take God's plan for our lives as our own. But when we are one and submitted with him, it's easy to do that because his desires become my own. Like seriously, y'all, there's a blessing in your obedience. There is a blessing in your obedience. I can't fathom that enough. There is a blessing in your obedience. It's important and imperative that we trust the process and that we trust in the one who has created the process. At the end of the day, you guys, like, rather it be a disease and you're plagued like Naaman was, or you don't know how you're going to pay your bills the next month, or your kids acting up, marriage is topsy-turvy, your friends acting weird and funny, whatever it may be, people on your job, no matter what it is, if we give God everything, He's literally able to do anything. If we allow him in and give him that access to do what he needs to do for us, he literally can and will do it. We just have to let him. He will definitely give you your push through so that way you can get through. Trust him, y'all. But I'm out. I just wanted to encourage y'all and tell y'all my little story, how the Lord done convicted me and got me all the way together. When I tell you, I mean slapped. I laid in the bed probably a good 2-3 minutes. Plop, plop, plop. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, that's how we doing it today. All right. All right. Thanks. Thank you. But no, on a good note, y'all, don't forget to inhale and exhale with your girl T. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video with somebody that you love or that you think it will bless. I'm out. Peace. And one more thing, you guys. I did not forget about the poem. I am going to post it, but it'll probably be Saturday or after Saturday because I have to perform it for a service. So I'm not going to post it just yet. But I got you guys. I got y'all. I did not forget. Just updating y'all on that because I have had a couple of people ask me like, where the poem at? I got y'all. Just not until Saturday or after Saturday. So be on the lookout for it, but it won't be today.